All right, so today we're going to be exploring some pretty interesting ideas about family.
Okay.
We're diving into excerpts from a Christian devotional that focuses on building what it calls a blessed family. Now, even if you're not particularly religious, stick with me here.
Okay.
We're not going to get into like deep theological debates or anything like that.
Right.
What we're really interested in are the practical insights and concepts that this text offers that could apply to, any family looking to thrive.
Yeah, you know what I find really interesting is how this devotional frames the idea of a blessed family right from the start.
Yeah.
It uses this analogy of building a house, specifically referencing the parable of the wise and foolish builders from the Gospel of Matthew.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit for those of us who might need a refresher.
Okay.
What's the core message of that parable?
Well, it's a story about preparing for challenges.
Okay.
The wise builder constructs his house on a solid rock foundation.
Okay.
So when storms hit, and they always do in life, the house stands strong. The foolish builder, on the other hand, builds on sand, and his house collapses under pressure.
So how does this devotional connect that parable to building a family? What's the rock it's talking about?
It gets pretty specific here.
Okay.
The devotional says the rock for a blessed family is a foundation built on God and His Word.
Okay.
It pulls from verses in Genesis and Psalms that talk about the importance of God's role in establishing families, and the idea that a family built without the Lord is built in vain.
That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
It seems to suggest that families who don't prioritize faith are somehow less equipped to handle the tough stuff life throws their way. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
It definitely presents a very distinct perspective.
Okay.
The devotional clearly believes that a family grounded in faith and biblical principles has a better chance of navigating challenges successfully. It's important to remember that this is just one viewpoint, though.
Right.
There's a different ongoing research about the benefits of strong family bonds and shared values on resilience and well-being.
Okay.
But whether those values stem solely from religious beliefs is a matter of individual perspective.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And speaking of challenges, you have to wonder what kind of storms this text is referring to when it comes to families today.
Yeah.
It feels like there's no shortage of things that can rock the boat.
Oh, absolutely.
Finances, relationship issues, societal pressures, even just the overwhelming pace of modern life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And the devotional doesn't shy away from those practical realities.
Okay.
In fact, it introduces this concept called Uppercut, arise as a call to action for families.
Yeah.
It even uses this boxing analogy.
Interesting.
Urging people to fight for their faith, their family, their finances, and their future.
Oh, okay. Now that's where things get really intriguing for me. I'm getting this sense of active engagement, not just passively hoping for the best.
Right.
What exactly does this uppercut arise involve, and how does it fit into the whole blessed family picture?
Well, the devotional seems to be drawing on a passage from 1 Timothy that talks about fighting the good fight of faith.
Okay.
It's suggesting that building a blessed family isn't a passive process.
Right.
It requires conscious effort,
Yeah.
especially in a world that constantly throws curveballs our way.
So it's about making intentional choices to build that rock-solid foundation.
Right.
Not just waiting for things to magically fall into place.
Okay. It emphasizes recognizing challenges and actively addressing them, setting boundaries, and standing up for what you believe in as a family, even when it's tough.
Now that's a powerful image.
Yeah.
Families actively fighting for their well-being and happiness.
Right.
It really flips the script on the idea of just hoping for a blessed life. But this all raises a big question for me. If a family is rooted in shared values and willing to put in the work, what exactly are they fighting for?
That's a good question.
What does a blessed family even look like, according to this devotional?
That's where we really start digging into the heart of this text.
Okay.
And one of the first things it tackles is the roles of husband and wife.
Okay.
Which is where things can get a bit more complex.
Yeah. You're right. This is where we have to be mindful of the text's specific context.
Yeah.
It describes the husband as the loving leader and the wife as the submissive partner, drawing directly from Ephesians 5.22-31 for support.
And that's certainly a very traditional view of family roles, one that might not resonate with all our listeners.
Right.
It's important to acknowledge that societal norms have evolved.
Sure.
And many families embrace more egalitarian approaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not about endorsing any specific viewpoint,
Right.
but understanding the perspective presented in the source material.
This devotional very clearly lays out its stance on those roles,
Right.
rooting it firmly in biblical teachings.
Right. And it's fascinating how, after laying out those roles, the devotional then dives into a section on key prayers for a blessed family. It almost feels like, okay, you've got your roles defined. Right. Now here's how to actually live them out and navigate the inevitable challenges.
Yes, and these prayers offer a really interesting glimpse into the author's values and concerns.
Yeah.
For instance, several prayers focus on protection.
Okay.
They're asking for God's intervention to shield the family from harm, from sickness, even from spiritual attacks.
Wow.
It reveals a sense that families are vulnerable, exposed to forces beyond their control, and in need of divine protection.
That makes you think about the anxieties people face even within a family unit.
Right.
Like, despite having those defined roles, there's still this acknowledgement that you need help from a higher power to deal with the uncertainties of life.
Exactly.
Right.
And then you have prayers focused on unity and harmony within the family.
Okay.
They emphasize strong relationships, a sense of togetherness, and overcoming conflict. It highlights the importance of those interpersonal connections, even when there might be disagreements or tension.
It's almost like recognizing the human element. The fact that families are made up of individuals with their own needs and perspectives, and those things need to be acknowledged and navigated. What else stood out to you about these prayers?
Well, there are several prayers specifically for children.
Okay.
And I found those particularly interesting.
Yeah.
They're asking for obedience, for receptivity to education, and for success in life.
Okay, so it's not just about keeping the kids safe and well-behaved.
Right.
There's this aspiration for them to thrive, to achieve their full potential.
Yes. But what's interesting is how those prayers often focus on character development and spiritual growth. Rather than purely material success, it's not just about getting good grades or landing a high-paying job.
Right.
It's about becoming kind, responsible, and God-fearing individuals.
I see what you mean. It's like a more holistic view of success, recognizing that there's more to a fulfilling life than just outward achievements.
Right.
There's this emphasis on inner qualities and values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that emphasis on character ties back to the idea of a blessed family, being grounded in faith and biblical principles. It's about instilling those values in the next generation.
That makes me think about the anxieties that many parents face today. It's like they're bombarded with messages about their kids needing to excel academically, athletically, socially. It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
And this devotional seems to be offering a different perspective. Focus on raising good people first.
Right.
And the rest will follow.
It's definitely a countercultural message in many ways.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the desire for something more than just worldly success.
Right. And speaking of anxieties, there are also prayers for financial stability in this devotional. It doesn't shy away from the fact that money matters, especially for families trying to make ends meet.
It's interesting, though, how those prayers are phrased.
Yeah.
It's not about asking for wealth or luxury, but about having enough to provide for the family's needs and fulfill their God-given purpose. It emphasizes wise stewardship of resources and a sense of contentment rather than striving for material excess.
That's really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Especially in a society that often equates blessing with financial prosperity.
Right.
It's a much more nuanced and, dare I say, grounded perspective on money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it touches on the importance of gratitude and recognizing that true abundance goes beyond just material wealth.
Okay, so we've got this foundation of faith, defined roles, and these specific prayers covering everything from protection and unity to raising children and financial stability.
Yeah.
It paints a pretty comprehensive picture of what this devotional considers essential for a blessed family.
Right.
But what really caught my attention and what I think might surprise some listeners was a set of prayers focused on something quite unexpected. So these prayers are about overcoming negative emotional baggage from one's parents.
Okay.
It's like the devotional is acknowledging that our families of origin can have a profound impact on us.
Yeah.
And sometimes that impact isn't exactly positive.
It's a really powerful inclusion.
Yeah.
The devotional recognizes that past experiences, especially within our families, can shape our own approaches to family life, sometimes in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah.
And it offers a way to break free from unhealthy patterns or emotional wounds through prayer and seeking divine healing.
It's almost like saying, hey, building a blessed family isn't just about what you do now.
Right.
It's also about confronting the past and how it might be influencing your present.
Exactly. And it's not just about letting go of the negative, but also recognizing and embracing the positive things we've learned from our families.
Right.
These prayers touch on some really deep and sensitive issues.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, healing from maybe even difficult situations, and breaking free from generational cycles that might not be serving us.
Wow, that's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It's like this devotional is saying true family blessing requires not just outward actions, but also some serious inner work.
It's definitely suggesting that achieving true peace and happiness within a family takes effort on multiple levels. And it's not just about individual work, but also about coming together as a family unit to support each other through those challenges.
So we've got this multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
Build a strong foundation of faith. Embrace clearly defined roles.
Right.
Communicate through prayer for guidance and support, and even address the lingering impact of past hurts. It's like a holistic blueprint for creating a truly thriving family unit.
Right.
But how does this all connect back to the idea of uppercut or rise?
Okay.
That call to action we discussed earlier.
Right.
Where does the fight come in?
That's where it all comes together.
Okay.
I think the uppercut or rise concept is about recognizing that building a blessed family isn't passive. It requires intentionality. And a willingness to push back against things that threaten your family's well-being.
So it's not just about praying for things to get better.
Right.
But actively working to make them better.
Exactly. And I think the uppercut or rise idea is meant to be empowering. It's about rising above challenges, taking ownership of your family's destiny, and fighting for the blessings you desire, both spiritual and practical. It requires recognizing challenges and actively addressing them, setting boundaries, and standing up for what you believe in as a family, even when it's tough.
It really flips the script on just passively accepting whatever life throws at you.
It does. And remember, this devotional was written by Pastor Ghislaine, or Pastor G, as he's often called. He emphasizes that this is about discipleship, actively living out one's faith in every aspect of life, including within the family.
So it's about more than just reading the Bible or going to church on Sundays. It's about actually applying those teachings to how you interact with your spouse, how you raise your children, how you manage your finances, everything.
That seems to be the core message. And remember, he's speaking from personal experience as a husband and father himself. So it's not just theoretical for him.
That adds another layer to this whole concept. It's one thing to read about it in a book. But it's another thing to hear it from someone who's actively living it out in their own family life.
It adds a level of authenticity that I think is really compelling.
Absolutely. So if we were to boil all of this down to some key takeaways for our listeners, what would you say are the most important points to remember?
I think it comes down to intentionality, reliance on a higher power, and a commitment to personal growth. This devotional suggests that building a blessed family isn't something that just happens. It takes conscious effort, a willingness to seek guidance and support beyond ourselves, and continual striving to become better versions of ourselves.
And those are principles that resonate, regardless of whether you subscribe to a specific faith or not. Who wouldn't want to be more intentional in their relationships, cultivate a sense of gratitude, and commit to personal growth?
Exactly. And I think the beauty of this deep dive is that it's given us a framework for thinking about family in a more holistic way. It's not just about managing the day-to-day logistics, but also about cultivating shared values, nurturing our spiritual sides, and embracing the fact that building a strong family is an ongoing journey.
So well said. And as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've been exploring this concept of a blessed family through the lens of this Christian devotional. But what if we broaden the perspective a bit?
Okay.
What does it mean to build a blessed life?
Right.
A life filled with purpose, meaning, and connection,
Right.
regardless of your family structure or beliefs?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And one that I think each of us ultimately has to answer for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I do believe the principles we've discussed today can serve as guideposts along that journey.
Okay.
Being intentional, cultivating gratitude, seeking support beyond ourselves, and committing to growth. Those are universal principles that can enrich anyone's life.
Beautifully said. And with that,
Yeah.
we'll bring this deep dive to a close.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of family, faith, and the pursuit of a truly blessed life.
Yeah.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights along the way.
I hope so too.
Until next time,
Yes.
keep diving deep and keep seeking those nuggets of wisdom that enrich your life and your relationships.
Absolutely.